Now, Sports Talk with Brodes. Here's Hunter Brody.
Are you kidding me? What did we just witness? What type of game did we just watch? I am in disbelief. I never expected in a million years we would get a situation where everyone on the team could knock down any shot that they wanted to. That third quarter was absurd. It was outrageous. 46 points, and they scored on how many consecutive possessions? An absurd amount. 20 plus? That's not a thing. This isn't how the NBA normally works. Whether your name was Furkan Korkmaz, Matisse Thybulle, Dwight Howard, Paul Reed, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, Danny Green, you name it. If you wanted a bucket in that game, you could have it. And I put this out during my 1 to 2 minute Twitter instant reaction. Follow me on Twitter at Brodes81, by the way. It's like I'm watching Oprah. You get a three. You get a three. You get a bucket. You get a bucket. You get a three-pointer. It was insanity, and I loved every minute of it. The fact that you're watching a team without Joel Embiid have a 40-plus point lead on this Spurs squad? Greg Popovich, more like the local township coach, because they got waxed out of the building. And it was so nice and beautiful to hear the Sixers fans, and you could tell the difference from the energy with this team. They realized that there were people there. They heard the 3,100, and Dwight Howard's on the bench getting everybody up when the opponent was taking free throws, and not even when they were taking free throws, just in general. He's pointing around the Wells Fargo Center. There was this real awesome swag to this team because, well, guess what? They wanted to play in front of the fans, and they wanted to do it for the people. You could even tell just from the jump when they're announcing the players and when they're announcing the starting lineup. You actually hear, boo, boo, when the opponents are getting announced. And then you get the standard, Ben Simmons, Simmons, Simmons. Ah! People are going nuts. The amount of slams that Ben had in this game, it wasn't the best start for Ben Simmons, and I didn't expect him to just walk out there for the first time and pick up exactly where he left off. I would imagine maybe there would be a quarter or two of rust, and you saw that early on. It looked like he was trying to get very pass happy and look for his wide open teammates instead of looking at the rim. But once he started getting to the rim and getting some of those monster dunks, you could see the personality come back. You could see the excitement and the outrage, but good outrage, like the flexing of it, the pump of the muscles, and staring at everybody who's shoving their face with beer in the stands. You could see it, and man, they were monstrous dunks too. Authority, that's the best way to describe it. He was going up, he was looking down at the rim with one hand on the ball, just being a dominating force out there. Everyone played a really solid game. You name it, they had a strong performance. And it all started out with Danny Green cushion every single shot, whether it was from the corner or you name it, out by the perimeter. Danny Green started off this hot stretch for this team. It started out with Danny, and then it rolled into Ben. Seth Curry had some nice moments, and he was delivering with some shots. Tobias Harris was really aggressive, and he was attacking at will, and he was getting to the basket when he wanted to. And there was that quote being thrown around a little bit when Tobias Harris was asked about not making the All-Star game. And he said, look, he's going to try and make a statement to these coaches out there that didn't view him as that type of player. He felt snubbed. So he was going to make sure that when he comes out for the second half, everybody is going to notice Tobias Harris. Well, this is a strong start. You ready for this stat line? 23, 9, and 7, 1 block, 2 steals, plus 36 on the night. Now that's having your fingerprints all over this game. And I know we can talk about the great play and what he does offensively and how aggressive he can be, and he's able to knock down his shots at a very reasonable clip outside from 3 as well. But the defense is something that continues to improve, and it's something that he's so bought in on, and he competes with the rest of them. But that's not who he was. That's not something about his game that used to stand out. And I'm not going to make it seem like it's like this insanely powerful Ben Simmons or Matisse Thybulle level. Obviously, it's not. But considering he was just kind of a type of defender, and now he's bringing that effort. All right, he's bringing that intensity. You could see that his work ethic and his battle and his determination on that side of the floor has clearly been elevated when you see him have one block, 2 steals, plus 36 on the night. That was such a great game by Tobias. And earlier today, I uploaded a podcast, and I would love for you guys to go back and check it out. It's just about Joel Embiid and what the bone bruise means for this franchise as they look forward to this second half push. And I talked about how I expected Ben Simmons to really dominate and to really put his footprint on this team because he's been getting criticized early in the year, and he came out really successful in this past month or so. I figured that he would say, hey, here's an opportunity for me to shut everybody the hell up. And he even made comments about that Washington Wizards commentator after the game as well. So we know what's brewing in his mind. We know how he feels about things. And as much as an athlete, you might say to the media, you know what, people are going to say whatever they want to say. I know how good of a player I am, or whatever the case may be. That's bulletin board material where you think about it, all right, you laugh about it, and it might bother you internally enough to get you rised up for the next game, might spark something inside of you. It all happens. We're human beings, and when you hear someone criticize you, you kind of want to flip them the bird. And Ben Simmons, I expected him to do that, but a name I didn't even really truly mention was Tobias Harris. I didn't even really give him. It looks like as well as some of the other coaches, I might have gave Tobias Harris some bulletin board material. I might have disrespected him a bit. But I feel, the reason why I think I didn't mention him, though, just to support myself a bit, is because of this. We sort of know what Tobias is at this point. When he gives you 23 points, takes 18 shots, that's Tobias Harris. Giving you 25, giving you 26. Might also, in the assist department, give you around 6. Might grab you 7 rebounds. That's what Tobias is. So Tobias is going to give you that. Ben is going to be that deciding factor if he's aggressive, if he's going downhill, if he's giving you those baby hooks, if he's facilitating as well, then that's what's going to put you over the top. I sort of give Tobias Harris that pass up. I sort of know how you are going to play, what you are going to be under Doc Rivers. Ben Simmons is a wild card. When he gives you your elite game, it's damn, this guy is unbelievable. When he gives you those underwhelming games, it's all right, the team fell short. What if Ben was able to be a better version of himself? So it really does rely on the Ben Simmons factor. And I thought as he got into his groove, that was amazing. The baby hooks and all. It was just one of those nights, right? You chalk it up to one of those basketball gods type of nights where it was all you, baby. You were making everything. Furkan Korkmaz couldn't miss. Matisse Thybulle's knocking down threes. I thought Mike Scott and Dwight Howard had this really awesome play. I think this was in the first half. Dwight Howard is at the top of the three-point line. Here comes Mike Scott coming around to pretend like he's going to get the basketball. That doesn't happen, but he cuts around Dwight Howard, uses him as a screen, cuts behind the basket, and he gets a big-time jam. I really love that play. Maybe that's something that they continue to utilize. What else did they have in terms of, like, nice setups? I mean, Matisse just being Matisse Thybulle and generating defense to offense. Same with Ben Simmons. Something I thought really got him going initially was he made a really strong play defensively by getting back down the court on the defensive side, pokes it and gets a steal, heads the other way, and boom. That's when you see the celebration come out of him, and it was just an awesome performance. It really was. I was laughing because it was almost too good to be true, right? It was so fun, and it was so entertaining. But it was so wild. You don't see 46 points in one quarter. You don't see this team. When Mark Zumoff was throwing out all these stats, it was like one possession that they didn't really execute on for points in the third quarter. He mentioned 77% from the field at that point. I mean, that's where the Sixers team was when it came to knocking down shots in general from the field. These aren't statistics that normally you see on any sort of stat sheet throughout any point in a game, but somehow the Sixers were doing it without Joel Embiid. And I thought that there was a mixture of reasons why this happened. I think there is this, hey, you know what? Joel Embiid is our rock. Joel Embiid is our leader. Joel Embiid is our guy, but we're still a great team. And that is something that is important to me, that they value themselves like that. Yo, we got to show everybody, with or without Joel Embiid, we can still do some damage. We can still win games. I think there was a little bit of that involved. I think the fans really played such a big role in this. Think about it. You're an NBA team, an NBA player that plays in front of 25, 26, 27,000 people a night, and then for a whole year, you're playing in front of nobody. everybody. And it's quiet and it's boring and you got to generate your own sort of loudness to it. You got to get your bench extremely involved so they can really be the motor to your team. When there's a big dunk, you need Dwight Howard to get up and be that guy that gets everybody involved, Tyrese Maxey. Well, just the fact that there's people to play in front of now, and when the refs make a bad call, refs, you suck! Refs, you suck! All that nonsense, all that, I think played a big role in the way that this team came out with a little pep in their step for the first time in their own building. They've experienced it on the road and playing in Orlando, playing in some of these other buildings, but now you get to do it in the Wells Fargo Center. And we all recognize how much power that holds for this team, considering their record last year, their record this year. When they play at home, they're a different type of beast. So I think that played a big role. They wanted to prove it to everyone, stick it to everyone. And realistically, you can't pray for this to be the outcome every night. There's a reason why that we laugh the way that we do about this, and we're so, not stunned, but, disbelief is a good word, or numb to the execution side of things. You closed your eyes as soon as someone let the shot go. You knew it was going in. You could hear the swish of the net, and you could hear Mark Zumoff make a fantastic call with Allah, because it's one of those nights where, man, everything was dropping. I'm truly convinced I would at least had 6 in this game. I'm not saying 30. I'm not saying 40. Could I had 6? Yeah, of course. Maybe I could have had 6, 7 if I got fouled. And it's funny because it was a storyline throughout the game that the Sixers weren't getting to the free throw line. And it's obvious that without Joel Embiid, that guy could get fouled whenever he wanted to. He'd face up, he'd throw his arms up, the ball would go up in the air, there he'd go, he'd walk to the free throw line, and he'd knock down his shots. He'd establish himself low in the block, he'd work his way down low, he'd get 2 inches from the basket, he'd have to get fouled. So it's obvious that would happen, but even though they weren't getting to the free throw line, they were still able to make some plays and get to where they needed to be on the floor to knock down their shots, to drill some baskets, and to get some points. I thought early on their defense definitely helped out when you looked at how they were scoring off of some turnovers and scoring a little bit as they were moving along in transition. I saw some really nice plays from that angle of it. It was it was just incredible, really. I mean, that's the way to describe it. When you watch a team pour out that type of effort on the offensive side, save some for the next game. That's almost what I wanted to say. Why don't we save a little bit of these jumpers and these threes for next game? And I just brought up in the last couple of shows about how important Danny Green is to the spacing compared to a player like Matisse Thybulle, who can bring you that defensive intensity, but he lacks on the offensive side. And I know if you look through his recent stretch, he's shooting the basketball, I believe Mark Zumoff said 38%, which is about 2 ticks above the league average. If he can shoot 38% long-term with his defense, then yes, I think that is extremely valuable to this team. But with what Danny Green is, I brought up this scenario, and I heard Tyrone Johnson of 97.5 The Fanatic bring this up on Friday's show. That's where I kind of thought about it in my head. If you were playing the Brooklyn Nets, for the people that didn't hear, I'll really quickly, briefly summarize it. If you have Danny Green in the corner, or if you have Matisse Thybulle in the corner, and Kevin Durant is sticking that individual defensively, there's a difference between what you can do with Joel Embiid on the low block, with Kevin Durant. Okay, you know what? I'll allow Matisse to keep taking these shots. He shoots 29% from 3 this season compared to Danny Green, who might not be the best version of himself, but he can get hotter way better than Matisse Thybulle can. And that's what I was saying. That version of Danny Green, which I don't know if you're going to constantly get this version of Danny Green. Let's be realistic. He has the hot nights, he has the cold nights. But he can do this more so than Matisse Thybulle can. And if you get that type of hotness, that type of lethal shooting, a player like Kevin Durant, because the debate came up of should Matisse Thybulle start over one of these shooters? And I don't think the answer is yes, because you need that spacing, you need that room to operate and to be able to score offensively. Here's the thing, when the Sixers can score and their shooters are knocking down shots, good luck competing with them. Good luck keeping up with the scoring. Now, a team like the Brooklyn Nets might be able to because of their firepower. But if Danny Green, Seth Curry, Tobias Harris, if those players, along with Joel Embiid, a healthy Joel Embiid, can keep you involved with the Brooklyn Nets, yeah, like that's the lethal stuff that you need offensively. That's the scary part. That's when the Sixers are almost at the level of unbeatable, is when your shooters are on. And I don't know if I'm willing to take that out of the lineup, because of Matisse Thybulle. I like Matisse Thybulle. Matisse Thybulle is unbelievable. Look at the way that he defends. Look at the way that he's a pest against everybody and how many fast break dunks it leads for himself or another teammate. He gets his hands in there. He'll block you from behind. You name it. He's very unreal with any sort of defensive skill sets. I don't know, though, if you can rely on 25 to 30 minutes of a Matisse Thybulle as a starter. I value Danny Green's ability, and maybe not even ability anymore because he's more of a league average guy, but just the threat that he is. The fact that everybody knows who Danny Green is. The fact that you've seen Danny Green win championships for a reason and been in that spot for a reason. He can deliver. So it's just the thought of, it's not about if he will or won't. It's about the fact that he can. And he can at a more efficient clip than Matisse Thybulle. So, I know I brought that up the last couple of shows and all, but it's an interesting topic because people see what Matisse is doing defensively and they automatically apply that to he needs to start and he needs to be in there. I love Matisse Thybulle. And I'm so excited to see what his lockdown role is because there's going to be playoff moments where Matisse Thybulle is that guy where after the game it's, wow, did you see how special Matisse Thybulle was on whatever player he ends up defending for 12 to 15 minutes? But you can't just devalue what Danny Green does and you can't devalue what his shooting is and the scare and threat that the other team has when Danny Green is just camping out in the corner doing nothing. 46 points in the third quarter, by the way. 46 points in the third quarter. It's amazing. It's almost as amazing as DeSimone Jewelers. Let me tell you about my friends at DeSimone Jewelers in Haddonfield, New Jersey. They're a family-owned business with over 40 years of experience, and they moved from Jewelers Row to Haddonfield, New Jersey. I got my fiance's engagement ring there, and she was blown away by the bling of this rock. Then I got her a Christmas gift, a beautiful necklace. You should have seen the face. She almost fainted. It was kind of scary. That's how stunned she was with that outstanding purchase by myself. But thanks to DeSimone Jewelers. They don't use sale tactics. They show you options and educate their customers, and they treat their customers like family. I'm never going to another jewelry store in my life because of the connection and the relationship that we created. They teach you about things. They sit you down and they explain to you the rock and why you should choose this over that, and they just describe you. They bring you outside. They show you why the rock gets hit the way that it does with the sun and why it blings this way. It's seriously awesome to listen to, and it puts it in perspective on, wow, this diamond is this diamond for a reason. I've sent a lot of family members and friends in their direction. I constantly get back the same reaction. Wow, they are unbelievable. And you'll see exactly what I mean when you go in there and tell them that Brodes sent you. They customize and manufacture every ring that they make from start to finish on location. Because of that, they're able to beat competitors' prices. More information is down below in the description. Once again, tell them that Brodes sent you. Seth Curry making shots. Paul Reed. It took a little while for Paul Reed to get in. And I thought once the whole G League thing went down and Paul Reed finished, that there would be a good chance for him to play. By the way, Tony Bradley had a little bit of an ankle injury, and you saw him limping. He went to the bench. You are very thin at the center position without Joel Embiid, so you got to keep an eye on whenever something happens to some sort of center on this team. But Paul Reed, it took a long time for him to get thrown in. I wonder if there was a reason for that. Did Doc Rivers try his best to not put him out there? It's almost like, hey, guys, let's not make it a 40-point game. I don't want to put in Paul Reed and maybe have his expectations something. I don't know. I mean, why wouldn't you? It's a 30-plus game when Tyrese Maxey and Isaiah Joe are all in there. Why did it take you so long to throw in Paul Reed? Poirier was in there. Thought it was a little strange, but Paul Reed, he could ball, man. You saw what he did in the G League, and I know it's not the same exact thing. I'm not relating the G League success to the NBA at all because it's two totally different leagues, and when you're playing a 40-point blowout against a back end of the bench team with where the Spurs were at the time, yeah, it's not relating to Anthony Davis or Jokic who are getting matched up against some of those elite superstar talented players in this league. But, I thought Paul Reed deserved an opportunity based off of the circumstances and what he did. He did get thrown in there. I'm just curious what they're going to do moving forward with this 5. I've been through it before, but Ben Simmons at the 5, with Tony Bradley in this ankle. I don't expect much from this in terms of injury or anything, but You got some options with Dwight. Dwight is playing explosive too, huh? There is this different level of Dwight Howard right now. Maybe he's taking the initiative. Maybe he realizes and understands, all right, without Joel Embiid here, I've been involved in this locker room as the leader, as the guy that once dominated this league and brought a team to the finals. I wasn't able to execute. I wasn't able to get the job done, but I was able to be a real professional in this league at the highest level. Now it's time for me, without the big man here, without the leader here in Joel, now it's time for me to step up and really elevate myself to the next level. Now the difference is, it's not as if maybe I'm wrong and maybe Doc Rivers does this. I would be shocked, and I don't think it is a reality, but I guess I got to leave everything out on the table, and considering Dwight Howard is being a monster right now, but I really don't see it. But with Dwight Howard, he's playing so good, I don't know if he's ever going to really start during this time because he's doing it so well, but there has been this jump in his game, and just all around the excitement, the expressions, the body language, the tone, everything surrounding Dwight Howard has really peaked, and I think you're starting to see this big effect that's occurring on everybody else due to his leadership. I really think that's the case. All right, so why don't we take some phone calls after this game? Let's hear what everyone out there was thinking after such an exciting watch.
God damn, that was an ass whooping. Whew. Better bring out the mop. Because, wow, that was very damn. I'm almost at a loss for words. I think you might have underrated how good this team can be without Embiid. And I'm not saying they're going to be a great team, but even, remember 2 years ago without Embiid, Ben Simmons led this team on that crazy game win streak. And I would argue this team right now is more talented than that team was, with having Tobias Harris as a co-star and probably better role players than them. Obviously, I'm not saying the team's a contender, but I still think they can definitely hold on. We've seen a type of run like this from this team before. Obviously, I'm not saying a 16-game win streak's going to happen, but this team can still be very good.
I understand your philosophy there, and I'm not against it. I do think that this team could hold themselves above water. They're really close to the Brooklyn Nets, so, the Nets might overtake that first seed, and the Bucks are playing great basketball. I don't know if you can beat the Bucks without Joel Embiid, although it is possible. I'm not going to rule it out. I do agree with you that this team is more talented than the one that went on that crazy streak at the end. But this is one game, and I'm a bigger sample size guy. I need to see more of it. This is an outlier, right? We always go back to last season, and there's games that made you feel good, and then there is what that team really showed you with Josh Richardson, Al Horford. It was more tough moments than it was positive moments, but you saw on Christmas Day at the Wells Fargo Center, the Sixers shot lights out from three, and they were dynamic. They were dynamite. And he thought, well, hold on a second. They could compete with this team and shoot that way. I mean, hey, if they can do this, well, then they can go out there and win. And it was more of the outlier than it was the truth. This type of effort, well, I love their energy and I love the way that they played, and it seemed like mentally they were clocked in the right way and they were making a point, they were making a statement, and I love that out of this team. It shows me that there's a big positive to take out of that. It shows me that they are engaged the right way and they are saying the right things in the locker room. They're applying the right methods. They're executing it as well. So all of that is extremely important to the way that I view where this team is. But this will not happen again. You're not going to shoot that much from the field in a third quarter. You're not going to score 46 points. So I can't rely on this to be applied to the rest of the way without Joel Embiid. I need to see more of a sample size. Maybe they keep their heads afloat more than I think that they would. I said if Joel Embiid misses 10 games, 14 games, let's go with 14 games. If they go 9-5, I'd say that that's probably overachieving to what I think they could do. I think more of just about, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe, what did I say? 14 games? 8-6? That would be more in the range of I see them in, an 8-6 kind of thing. This was a fun game. It really was. But for as great as this was, there's going to be nights, and we've seen it this year, where Seth Curry and Danny Green can't make a damn shot. And it's, oh my God, people want to rip their hair out. People want to trade Danny Green. People say you got to make a move. So for as great of a night this was for Danny, Seth, Tobias, and the shooters, Furkan, there's going to be a night down the road here during this week, maybe next week, where Danny can't buy a damn bucket. And he's getting wide open looks. Seth is getting wide open looks, coming up short, coming up real short. Maybe the legs aren't there, tired looking. So for every game like this, there's a counter game in an 82-game season where it's not as smooth. So I'm trying to put it in perspective of, look, this was really cool to see, and it put a smile on my face for sure. Saying that they can, I don't know, are the expectations too high from this caller based off of seeing what type of attitude that they had in this game where they just blew San Antonio out? They couldn't even stand a chance at all. Not even a little bit.
Pop the frickin' cork, Maz! I said pop the frickin' cork, Maz! Yeah, Brody Brodes. How you like them frickin' apples, baby? How you like them frickin' apples there, Hunter Brodes? Freaking 16 points and, oh yeah, man, that's how we do it, man. That's how we do it. I fucking like it. Hey, I fucking like it. Hey, I knew they'd win because I am a psychic, and hey, I fucking like it. Hey, I fucking like it. Hey, I fucking knew they'd win because I am a psychic.
What? I don't even know what to say. First off, I knew Furkan Korkmaz stuff would get thrown my way. If you think this is who Furkan is, have at it. If you don't realize that this is one of those games where the ball was flying in for everybody, well, then have at it. I don't know what to tell you. If you're still someone that believes in Furkan Korkmaz to this high degree, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm tired with it. I'm fatigued by it. It's over and over again, the same conversation. The guy has 8 bad games. He has 1 good one. Brodes, you're an idiot. He then follows that up with 7 bad games. He has a good one. Brodes, you're an idiot. He'll have 4 bad games in a row. Then he'll have 2 decent games. Brodes, if Furkan Korkmaz could play like this, can we stop with it? Why do we have to hold on to this hope that Furkan is a better player than what he really is? Don't you know already? We've seen this. If you're a Phillies fan that also enjoys the Sixers, it's like Roman Quinn. All right? We see when Roman Quinn can get on first base and then steal second base. Roman Quinn stinks. How many years of Roman Quinn do you need until you realize that Roman Quinn is not good enough? Is there a part of his game that sometimes comes out? Sure, his speed is noticeable at times. He does make a play at times. Furkan Korkmaz, he has a skill set in three-point shooting that sometimes shows up. Most of the time, majority of the time, too much percent of the time, it doesn't. So how many more years do you have to put up with this, trying to sell yourself that Furkan Korkmaz is an option that you should rely on when playoffs matter? It's embarrassing to me, but that call, wow, I'm left speechless.
We just handed them their worst loss in their history. 35 points. Without Joel Embiid, no less. Brodes, that was unbelievable. 46 points in the third quarter alone. Outscoring them all but once. 4 straight wins. I'm telling you, this team's winning the chip. And we're going to beat the Knicks on Tuesday for like the 13th or 14th time in a row.
See, I don't know how we take what we saw tonight and apply that to winning the chip. Am I an asshole? Am I a bad guy? Am I a terrible person? I'm here for the ride. I'm embracing the journey to a degree. You know I'm a big picture guy, but I also can acknowledge fun times, fun moments, 50 points from Embiid. Like, there's awesome times throughout a season that you should appreciate more than other. And this is one of those regular season games that I apply to that. This is one of those games that you should enjoy more than others because it's an outrageous type of victory. It's so out there. It's so wild. It's so outrageous. It's so absurd. It's not the normal. It's not just a regular win. It's one of these crazy games where you can't even believe what just happened. You're numb to it until you kind of really analyze it more. In the moment, you're numb to it because you're laughing out of a surprise. But I don't know how you take this and then take it to, we're going to win the chip. And I'm going out on a limb here and saying that this caller at one point this season, when they would lose games, when Danny Green was off, when Seth Curry was off, claimed that this team can't win a championship and Daryl Morey has to make moves. And this bench isn't good enough. I'm sure that caller at some point when the bench was playing poor claimed that there's no way you can win a championship with this bench. Now all of a sudden the bench has a nice stretch and now they can go win the chip. I don't know. I can't scream that we're going to go win the chip. In terms of going to beat the Knicks, yeah, that's going to be solid. I would love to see them crush the New York Knicks. And then they have to play a back-to-back against Milwaukee. You know my eyes are set on Milwaukee, as it should be. As everybody's eyes are essentially set on Milwaukee. Because that's a test game. What is this team made of without Joel Embiid?
Yo, Brodes. Third quarter just ended, but I think we can call it at this point. Really fun game. The fans are huge tonight. I wanted to raise the question, is it possible that Doc has, in a sense, played this all-bench lineup into success? Maybe he knew it had been a mess all season, but decided he wasn't going to give up on it. I think Dwight Howard actually making these dunks has been huge for the all-bench lineup. Creates a momentum swing and gives the whole squad an energy boost.
He definitely does. And I do think that Doc Rivers knew or felt, because this is, once again, not a big enough sample size for me to now say that this bench automatically is something so amazing that you can really rely on, but they're playing good ball right now. I think Doc Rivers saw it as what they were doing when they were playing miserable wasn't who they really were. Because prior to start the season, they weren't that bad. So we saw them play decent, then he saw them play poorly. And then he realized, okay, well, they're not this bad because I've seen them play not this bad before. How do I find a way to get the best out of them again? I'm going to stay stubborn. I'm going to continue to throw out that lineup. I'm going to continue to go all bench until they work themselves out of this funk. And it seems like maybe that's what they're doing to a degree. And I think that they'll take a step back from where they are now and find more of a happy medium of who they really are. But that doesn't mean the all-bench lineup is something that you should really deliver every single night. And he tends to do that. He seems to have that philosophy. I hate that philosophy. I think you should really find a way to keep a Ben Simmons or a Tobias Harris or, keep somebody else out there that it makes it more successful, that you can get a guy out there that will help tremendously. If you need a bucket, get a guy that can help you go get a bucket and make sure that you stagger a Ben Simmons, a Tobias Harris, a Joel Embiid when he's healthy. The all-bench lineup I don't love, and he's going to continue to throw it down your throat because that's what Doc Rivers does, and that's what coaches do in general. They're stubborn to their method. They stick with their guns. If that's what they believe in, they're going to make sure that's what they believe in. So I think that there was a little bit of, look, I've seen them play better than what they put on display for that ugly stretch, so I am going to continue to pound that all-bench lineup until they work themselves out of it. We'll see, though. We'll see if this is truly who they are or if they fall back to a little bit of a happy medium. Now, you mentioned Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard was great, man. Plus 19 in 20 minutes. There's this different attitude for him right now. And maybe it's just confidence. Maybe it's just the alley-oops because there's a lot of jams coming his way. He's cleaning up the offensive side of the glass. He's having some nice putbacks off of it. So there's a lot of that from Dwight Howard, and that confidence on the court might be somewhat snowballing into him and his attitude. Not that he had bad attitude when he wasn't playing as great, because the Dwight Howard experience has been up and down and filled with different emotions, and I thought Mark Zumoff said a great thing on the broadcast. Millions of great things, may I add, but one that stood out to me was, with no Joel Embiid, we praised Dwight Howard for being able to play with some toughness and being able to play with a little bit of that edge, so he picks up a lot of fouls. Well, without Joel Embiid, let's try and limit that toughness. Still play with that. Still bring what you bring to the table. But look, be a little smarter at times as well. So he's always had good attitude, but I think it's almost just hitting that next tier and taking that next step because of how well he is executing out there. And it's enjoyable for sure. And what else is enjoyable is DraftKings Sportsbook. There's no better way to put your college basketball knowledge to the test than put your money where your mouth is with DraftKings Sportsbook. Don't worry, if college basketball isn't for you, DraftKings Sportsbook offers great odds and promotions on golf, hockey, baseball, and so much more. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app right now and use promo code BRODES when you sign up. That's promo code BRODES when you sign up on DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode, and I will see you next time.